my way.
Hello people of the earth and welcome back to QuickSaveTV. My name is Mike and today I'm going to demonstrate you how to play Vi as a jungler in the game of League of Legends. As you know, Vi is one of the new characters that has been added just recently. She can be played very well solo top, she can be played very well jungle. I really enjoy playing her jungle and I just wanted to demonstrate to you how I actually do that and what are her primary strengths when you play her as such. In this particular example, I'm going to be playing against Ashe bot. Okay, bot Ashe in essence, which is not so much to... It actually will make it easier for me, and you know, for obvious reasons, because I'm a bruiser and the Ashe is an AD carry. And without human control, the bot will surely fall apart under my attacks. But still, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to be working alone in my ganks, and that's not what generally happens when you play the game. As Vi, you generally want to keep all your farm as much as possible. You want to farm as long as you can, and because if you don't really farm, you're going to fall behind quite severely. At the approximately 7-minute mark, I'm going to show you how you can quickly kill the dragon as Vi, which is something really amazing about this character. You can solo the dragon very quickly, and it makes it a great addition to the team's income when you just get your team a free dragon, because the enemy team doesn't really suspect you doing that. I do not know how effective it will work in the higher leagues, let's put it simple, in let's say diamond and even gold, because right now I'm in the elo hell of, I'm in silver right now. So okay, let's just start talking about what am I taking for her, how does it actually work. So a primary skill for her, I'm taking W, okay, as a first skill. Then I take the E and then Q. Her W makes it such that whenever she strikes the target 3 times, she deals tremendous amounts of damage as in physical form, as well as improve her attack speed for 4 seconds, which is enough to make another rotation in the same fashion, or even, you know, or even just to start punching another target, which is great. So once you can see, once she hits the target 3 times, she gets this accelerated attack speed, which is incredibly useful in a fight. Right now I'm going to take a smiteless red buff. I'm starting generally at the... I like to start at unorthodox buff, because normal person would think that, you know, Vi requires a blue buff. No, she really doesn't. In reality, if you get any pull whatsoever for any buff, you're good already. You don't need any specific buff. You can do as well with red as well as blue. It doesn't matter where you start. And plus, starting on the buff that is not orthodox for your character confuses the enemy if he decides to invade, making him waste his time. And this actually makes the game a little bit in your favor, and such gives you a slight advantage in the future. What I also really like to do as Vi is... what I really like to do with her is I take my buff, and right after that I travel towards the enemy buff over there, let's say right to the blue buff, if the enemy for example is Lee Sin, and then I just, you know, as I come there, he's already either finishing his buff, and I do my best, because he probably doesn't have the smite. That's what they do in earlier leagues. They always smite the first buff, which makes it really easy for me to go ahead and kill him. The main issue when you play as Vi, you know, you start with Machete, of course, with the potions. You slowly go into Frozen Mullet as your first major item after Regal's Lantern. Then you get Mercury Threads. I was trying with different shoes as well. Mercury Threads seems to be working a little bit better than others, because with Mercury Threads you already have the small boost in tenacity and you don't need to worry about it, whereas with other things, like if you take a Ninja Tabi, you still need to worry about tenacity. And I was trying Vayne, excuse me, I was trying Vi with Zephyr. It didn't work very well. I mean, it was okay, but it didn't felt good, so I was like, I'll just go with Mercury Threads, it's alright, it's not a big deal. So, her passive allows her to activate the Blast Shield, which is equal to 10% of your health, making that so that, you know, health is kind of important for her. So, items such as, for example, how the hell do you call it? Items such as Mike, brain dead, wait a second, I'm gonna remember the word. What the hell is the word? Items such as Warmog's armor are great for her, simply because they're going to give her the additional health and additional strength of her Blast Shield. So don't be afraid to try new items on her. I do not recommend you to build her as an assassin, meaning that to focus entirely on damage, because it's fucking stupid. Not so much because you're not going to be effective. You might be effective, but in a team battle, in reality, in my eyes, your your AD carry and your AP magician or a caster, you know, he will be able to dish the damage if you keep the enemy off of their backs. And it will be probably enough. You don't have to worry so much about your own damage. You're more there to sustain the enemy hits, hence you're a bruiser, right? And you really want to keep them alive. For example, when there's a character such as Fiora jumps on your AD carry, your first priority must be to take Fiora off of your AD carry, to make your AD carry survive the battle, to liquidate Fiora, or to make it impossible for her to kill anyone. Or if there's, in other way, if you play a classical, not a ranked game, right? Again, the same thing. You need to keep enemy Vi off of your critical targets, because that's what she's probably going to aim for. And your W, as a passive, makes it so that you're incredibly effective at attacking other bruisers and generally people who focus a lot on their health. As you can see right now, I'm not ganking anything, and because we're generally playing 1v1, a jungler versus bot in essence, it looks like my lines are falling apart. They actually do fall apart. If you play with real players, this is never going to happen. And again, even if the enemy is dominating you early game, Vi really blossoms from 6th level onwards. She's not an early game character, she's not a Lee Sin. Making an early level, like a level 2 gank, is practically impossible with her unless your enemy is a complete idiot. So I wouldn't recommend you to rush with her all that much. So right now what I'm trying to do is to rush my Regal's Lantern, okay? I'm just farming as much as I can, farming my you know, farming as much as I can. I just need this money, and right after I get it, after I get my Regal's Lantern, I can actually solo the dragon. I've calculated it, but the important thing to do is to solo the dragon before the 10th minute mark. I usually do it on 7th minute mark, which makes it so that the dragon is still weak. It is scaled from the initial spawn, and it's not as powerful, because after 10th minute, you know, dragon scales appropriately and strength, and it's going to be more difficult for you to kill him. So right now I just need just a little bit more coin. Actually, I'm just gonna go back, I guess, and wait it out and just buy it. It's exactly 7 minutes mark. I'm going to finish my Regal's Lantern, and although I still don't have the boots, you could say, oh Mike, why don't you have the boots? Because I don't care. It's unnecessary to have the boot early as Vi, simply because there are very few junglers in the game, as it stands right now, because they're all kind of bruisers, right, which can annihilate you in your jungle. There is no one really that can safely invade Vi and devastate her in a 1v1 battle, because the more you fight with Vi, the more your passive applies, right? The more your W applies on you, and the more damage she's going to be able to deal with you, because in essence, every third hit, she deals 1 extra hit on you, which there's nothing you can do about, and right now we're just gonna go ahead and kill the dragon. I'm using my Q to traverse into the dragon pit, in order to, first of all, in order to save the traveling time, and in order to not avoid this area and avoid this area. Doing so makes it so that I am not detectable by the enemy heroes. If they put a ward there, I'm not so worried about it. Once you've done with it, you can just do this again, and you're again back to safety. This was just a free dragon for my team, which immediately sets us ahead. Again, you have to remember, since the Vi is not an early game jungler like Lee Sin, for example, you have to make sure that you assist your lanes in any manner possible, because like since you cannot fight or kill, you know, if possible, you should replace them whenever they want you to do that, so that you can get additional free farm, additional free experience from your lanes, right? But you have to keep one thing in mind: you shouldn't run around like an idiot. Every time you do something as Vi, you have to make sure that you farm a lot, because right now, look at me, I'm farming like a madman, and I'm still barely reaching with the Ashe. Again, it's not the thing, you know, to out-farm enemy AD carry. It's just that, you know, if you have late-game characters at your lines against early-game characters, like, for example, if you have something like Wukong against Darius, or if you have something like at the bottom, Vayne against Draven, or Vayne against Graves, or Vayne against Ezreal, you have to make sure that, you know, they are able to stand the pressure and that they will be able to survive it, because otherwise you're letting them down, because you're not doing anything, in essence, because you cannot do anything, because you cannot guaranteedly gank them. Exceptional would be if the enemy is actually burned his flash, then ganking is a little bit easier. So yeah, okay, now that we talked about it a little bit, let me go ahead and try to show you my rotation, how I do the gank, generally speaking, on the example of Ashe. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to explain it to you, but in a fight, it might be a little bit hectic, so pay attention. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to use my ulti to jump on her instantly. After that, I'm going to hit her with a simple attack. Right after that, I'm going to use excessive force to reset my attack cooldown and attack her once again. Bam! Attack. Now I'm going to use my Q to stun her. Now attack into E. Now I'm going to keep following her. Now I'm going to keep attacking her. And I'm going to obliterate her. Right now, Ashe was severely off position. This will generally not happen in a fight when you come gank someone, because she's really, really deep into our territory and she didn't have wards. Obviously, if it would be a player, that would not happen. Most probably, it wouldn't happen unless he's an idiot. So, when you come to gank the lanes, I also advise you to leave the kills for your allies. It's not that you scale that into late game. You actually do. It's just that it's unnecessary for you to have a lot of kills, because you can work very well with few kills. However, your AD carry will really appreciate it, or your AP carry will really appreciate that if you give them a lot of kills early game. That will allow them to scale properly into late game and devastate their lines, you know, to control it, to dominate it better, get early items faster, and it will be just generally great help. Generally speaking, if you're doing everything correctly, your your ulti is going to be a 100% kill if you're doing everything correctly again. So, again, once again, let me describe you what I did there. I used my ulti to initiate the attack. Right after that, I simply attacked the enemy once, transitioning into E. I can store up to 2 E charges. Right about this time, once I do this, once I make a simple attack and use my E, the enemy starts running again, because the, you know, the small stun that I had is going to drop off. Right after that, I use my Q. It's unnecessary to fully charge it, but it deals more damage when charged, so it's not a bad thing to do so. So, once you do your Q, you do the same thing again, simple attack, E, and after that you just chase the enemy until he's dead, taking the majority of the hits for your AD carry, or for your AP carry, or for your top laner, so that he is able to pick up the kill whenever possible. The exception would be if you have a Darius top lane, then you don't want Darius to pick up the kill, because Darius scales like shit in the late game, and everybody knows that. It's just that, you know, it's just that you have to pay attention to, you know, to whom you give the kills. You have to make sure that you did everything in order to supply your AD carry and AP carry with kills. Otherwise, you know, you're just gonna have a powerful bruiser late game. And it doesn't do much, honestly, in terms of damage, because you're primarily going to build resistances, armor, and health. You know, at least that's the way I built her. You can figure out something much better. So, in terms of items, what are we getting and in which ordering? At first we get a Hunter's Machete and 5 potions. 5 potions give us the additional sustain that we really need in the jungle, okay? The Hunter's Machete, we immediately, as soon as it's possible, we get back to the shop and we build the Regal's Lantern from Hunter's Machete. It really helps to have it as soon as possible, because as you can see, I could solo the dragon with it. I just need one item, and that's, you know, that's Regal's Lantern. It's really great item. I really like it. You know, there's no reason for you not to build it. Plus, it gives you additional ward, which you can use to ward critical areas of the map, or you can just assist one of your lines if they're having issues. Like, for example, critical areas of the map. This entrance to your jungle is one of the critical areas, in my opinion, so that your AP carry cannot be flanked very easily. This one is very critical, especially if your first turret has been taken down. This positioning, you know, so that you cover both of them if possible even separately, you know, so that you have a better vision. In here again, you know, whatever you can help with wards. That's not a bad thing for you to do that. Don't think that only a support should ward the map, because it's generally the opinion of people I see in the silver and bronze. They believe that the only person that should ward the map is the support, but support never in a million years will have enough money to do that, so you have to assist him in any way possible. Okay, now we're going to just go ahead and use the same rotation on Ashe. She doesn't have too much health, so we're going to annihilate her pretty quickly, I think. So, attack, E, Q, bam, attack, E, attack, attack, attack. Not enough. Not enough, trying to catch with her. Just one additional attack will decimate her, but it might not be enough. We're doing this little trick. We're attacking the minion right behind her. This is why you have to be very careful with Vi when you play against her, because you can actually give her a free kill like this. Once I killed the enemy Lux, because the enemy jungler Warwick got in my way like this, and I hit him with my E, making it so that my E actually damaged him severely, plus damaged and killed the Lux behind him. So you have to be really careful with what you do, otherwise you're just going to assist enemy jungler in getting the kills, and it's not good at all, because you don't want to do that, because otherwise you fail in counter jungling, because you'll not be able to do that. Because with 2 kills already, let's say in a lead with 1 kill, I'm already stronger than the enemy jungler. In a lead with 2 kills, it's almost impossible to quickly come back from that. Okay, anyway, so this is the way you play Vi as a jungler. The way I do that, at least. As my runes, I use... I'm gonna post it in description. Okay, if you want any additional information, I'll post it in description. If possible, I'll place the screenshot of the runes I'm using right here so that you can see that. The masteries I use 9210. On runes, let me just briefly describe the logic behind it. The attack speed on red allows me to apply my W as often as possible. But I don't max my W until really late game, because I really don't need it. I really need my E and Q instead, because lower cooldown on Q means that if whenever enemy is trying to escape from me and does that effectively, I will still be able to try to catch up with him and kill him, because my cooldown is so damn short. If I max my EW instead, it will be great if the enemy would stay in front of me and fight against me, but nobody will ever do that against Vi, because with Vi you generally don't want to engage in long encounters, because she's going to tear you asunder. And because of that, it's unwise for you to max W first. Now, the way... Why do we max E first? The E, the better it is, the more charges, the faster it stores the charges. So it really is a good thing to have it as much as possible, okay? So that you have the charges. When you're jungling yourself, if the enemy is aggressively counter-jungling, you try to not spend all of your charges, and just keep some of them. Just keep at least one of them at any given point in time. It will give you the edge you need in order to devastate your opponent, okay? So now, we're going to finish Frozen Mallet, and then we're going to take Mercury Threads. After that, we're going to take Wit's End. I've tried Maw of Malmortius. I don't really like it. I prefer Wit's End because of additional magical attack on every strike. And I also like the attack speed on the, Wit's End, because it goes very well with your W. As well as the fact that Wit's End actually gives you additional... How the hell do you call it, man? The magic resist, which is really important in big team fights of the future, okay? Of the late game, because it will allow you to survive longer. Now with the Frozen Mallet, actually, you become a perfect ganker, because you actually stun lock the enemy for 3 seconds, okay? And not only that thing, right? You also don't let the enemy to run away from you. Now we're just going to wait for my Q to drop away from its cooldown, and actually just going to jump on Ashe, no problem at all. No need to care. You can also use your flash a little bit more offensively in order to breach the gap with your enemy. Now Ashe will not be able to run away, and she's just dead. Again, the reason we build Frozen Mallet first is because you want to hold the enemies next to you. Be that Fiora, be that Darius, be that Olaf, whomever is that you're dealing with. Having a Frozen Mallet gives you the health to be able to survive a confrontation with them. And also disallows them to do anything strategically important on the battlefield. Because if Olaf has to fight you, it means that your AD carry can actually deal tremendous amounts of damage to him, and that will not go very good for him. Once you get Frozen Mallet, or even actually before that, I think with the Phage you can actually do that. Second Dragon again is not a big deal for you, very easy to get, because the Regal's Lantern, if you like, it will deal tremendous amounts of damage to the Dragon. Generally speaking, as well, it's very easy to solo Dragon at any given point in the game, especially if you don't fall behind on creeps. And the enemy doesn't expect you to do that. Well, while it's a good thing to counter push, like if you're a top laner and there's like a small team fight breaking out under your turret, you can do that, no issue. It's not a bad thing to also, oh my goodness, game lags very much. Okay, it's alright now. You can still steal a dragon as Vi, which I think is a much more important thing, because dragon is a free gold, and disallow an enemy to have dragon will set you severely ahead. Now, okay, if you could follow me all this time for 18 minutes, please do not forget to put a like on this video and favorite it. If you enjoyed the video, again, do not forget to do that. It helps me tremendously much, and I will be immensely grateful. I will write a full build of what I'm using at the description. Please refer to everything. The description will be really detailed and strictly organized so that you can find all the information that you need as quickly as you need. I do enjoy. I'm really glad that you've watched my video. Thank you so much. Come back for more later, and I'll see you soon.